longitudinal study, and I think that's kind of around the corner for Hagar.
Okay.
What we do, the woman may stay in the shelter for, well, it varies with the individual, but maybe 6 months to a year, then a transitional housing step, and then into the community. And we do have social workers and a reintegration team that helps her find that place and find herself, connect her to a local church, stay in touch. Some women want to go back home, some women want to go anywhere but home. And so it's a very individual journey at that point.
Okay.
Are there more questions on there?
No.
Okay. I was wondering how many, now you say women, are there only adults then at these homes, or?
No, that's our women's program, and we also have programs for children. I should add, in our women's program, we have, well, in 2008, I think we were at about 40% were trafficking victims. And we also have women who are victims of domestic violence and other, forms of abuse. And many of them bring children along, young children. So those children then are served as well. But then we have our children's programs, which are for children who come to us without an accompanying parent. And again, our mission is those cast out, those rejected. So our children's programs include children with disabilities, because children with intellectual disabilities in Cambodia are definitely Ishmaels. But also, we have a very large proportion of our children served that come from trafficking backgrounds. It can be children of either gender that have been trafficked for labor, typically across the border in Thailand. Forced begging is one scenario. And we have a program for girls who have been trafficked for sex, and that's what we term our Aftercare program. And Shirley is really, I think we all agree, the most poignant work that we do. We have little girls down to about age 6.
Absolutely.
And I'll tell you more about that, but I also want to mention that we are just beginning to serve boys who have been sexually abused, and some of whom who have been trafficked for sex as well.
Wow.
That has just a new initiative beginning this past May. So that's a huge need that has been almost entirely unmet in Cambodia.
That's what I was going to ask, is if you saw that the boys were just kind of being, because maybe they weren't as big of numbers, but that they weren't being as helped as readily as the girls were. And
I don't know what the numbers are, and I don't think anybody really knows.
Right.
My guess would be it is a lower number than the girls. I think that would be for certain.
Right.
Just last year, Hagar, along with World Vision, commissioned some research on the situation in Cambodia with boy victims of sexual abuse. And what they found is that they certainly didn't find a number, but they did find a lot of that there is definitely a problem out there, and exacerbated by societal issues of not attending to that problem, not seeing it as a serious issue. As most people do, at least in theory, agree, little girls should not be abused that way. Cover up, not attending to what psychological, emotional.
Correct term is in each of the homes.
Let's talk about our Girls Aftercare program, maybe first, which is where they initially received. And we're beginning to use the terminology recovery center for everywhere where our children first come. That's the first stage, is the initial recovery. Girls will stay maybe 6, everybody's individual, get that child to as close to a natural family living situation as possible. Now, some integrate with their family of origin. A big piece of what we do. Why is it that this happened to this child? And what is the story here? And what that story is, then process the routes. So some of them integrated very carefully to their family of origin. Hagar will stay in touch, make periodic visits, make sure it's still safe. But of course, a large proportion of them we will never reintegrate to their family of origin because their family was complicit in them being sold or abused.
Right.
So with those girls, we make a commitment to them that they are ours, and we will take them and care for them until they are grown, until they are educated as far as they can go and can be working and have a sustainable livelihood. So they move out of the recovery center, aftercare center, and move into one step of a more natural environment of family aftercare home, where we have caregivers 24/7 and maybe 6 to 8 girls living together. They can come and go and have a relatively normal, comings and goings life in that manner. And we're also finding that as recovery goes on and is successful, and we're seeing great young women develop, they can take one more step, and we can place them in a foster home environment, which is just a home in the community, more on the nature of what we think of a foster home here.
Okay.
So when you ask, this is a long answer to your question, how many girls, because we have 30 in the center, but we are growing in number as we reintegrate them, but continue to care for them in different settings, less restricted settings.
All right, we've got a couple more questions here, if we want to go here. A couple people have asked a similar question about how do the girls, or anyone, this looking for help in this particular way, how do they know about you guys?
Okay.
How do they get to, is there someone that helps them get there, that tells them, or do they just know that you're a presence? Or?
Good question. No, we receive girls and women and boys from other human rights organizations. We are not involved in the rescue. We are not involved with seeking them out. We are known as a receiver, and what types of cases we typically serve, and we've developed expertise with, and so human rights organizations contact us.
Okay. Has International Justice Mission, have you worked with them before?
They're a very strong partner in Cambodia, yes.
I figured. Absolutely. One more question while we're here. Kind of to shift directions a little bit, we have someone asking about the fact that you have a presence in 4 countries. Is that right?
Well,
we're not counting the U.S.
3 right now. Well,
not counting the U.S. 3, right?
We will be serving women in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Afghanistan.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think the question was, which country is the most challenging?
Oh.
Is that? Can you answer that right now? You think, or?
Well, I really think I can answer that, even though we don't have a lot of experience on the ground, but I am afraid it is going to be Afghanistan.
Yeah, I suspected you were going to say that.
I think that's definitely going to be the front runner, when our goal is to empower women, and we do need to do it in a socially acceptable, culturally acceptable way, or we're not going to be doing that woman any favor.
Right.
So we are there. Our approach to Afghanistan, we got a country director in there a year ago, May, and he spent nearly a year making relationships, getting the lay of the land, casing out all the work that is going on there, and figuring out how can we plug in and how can we serve. We've just started working with IOM. Do you know that? International Organization for Migration. Okay. And we will be operating a shelter for trafficking victims there, most of whom